Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Amina Motala, and today I have a really special guest. So, we're going to talk about something that's on the lines of sovereignty. And as you know from my channel, I'm all about freedom and empowering who we are as human beings on this planet, coming in with the blockchain space and just all the work I've done with Norman Trespassing. And today I want to introduce to you a gentleman by the name of Gordon Schiller. Now, I just missed your middle name there. So I would like you to say your correct name in grammar syntax, Parse grammar syntax. And that's what we're talking about here today. It's a new language for most of you people. And when you hear Gordon introduce himself in his name, he's going to say it in Parse syntax grammar. So hi, Gordon. How are you?
Hello. Thank you, Amina. My name is Gordon Michael Schiller, period. I punctuate my name so that I convey it as a fact. The first colon is equal to the positional phrase for the. The hyphen joins my first name and my middle name together as a compound fact, or what you would call a compound noun. The second colon and space is equivalent to the positional phrase of the. So with the punctuation, the way my name is written, it says for the Gordon Michael of the Schiller, which is correct, 100% correct. They taught you in school all around the world, and I've talked to people all around the world, and everyone was taught the same way. You must have a prepositional phrase, is what they called it, in order to have a noun. Well, only nouns are facts, okay? And so they did teach you that in school, but they never spent any time on it. Some people don't even remember it because they didn't want you to know that. Because if you do that, you upset their entire apple cart because they can't deal with facts. They're all fiction.
Yeah, and I'm learning so much about this. As you know, I've been studying a lot of this with you, and I originally had seen you on Pat King's show talking about this from Alberta, and it really caught my attention because you were speaking in facts and you were speaking in this factual language that we are unaware of. And what I'm learning from this is that our laws are written incorrectly. Our laws are written such that when lawyers learn law, the first thing they're taught is that they cannot speak law or fact in a courtroom. And I find that just fascinating. Like it sounds like a complete inversion to what we think we're doing in the courtroom.
Yeah, well, everybody's been misled on purpose. They gave everybody on the planet a second grade reading level, so nobody knows how to read and write. Correct. It's like you can read and write all right, but it's what you're reading and writing is poetry. It's all fiction syntax grammar. For example, you hear all the time. Well, we hear here locally here. It's Alberta province, or what they call the province of Alberta. Well, where's the positional phrases? Where are they? You see, the is not a phrase. The is a half of a phrase. You have, all your phrases for the, on the, at the, with the, by the, you got all your positional phrases. You take any half of one away, you wind up with an adverb. The other half becomes an adverb, and adverbs are modifiers. They modify the word ahead of them and they modify the word following them. So the adverb the modifies the verb province, and the adverb of, because of is not a phrase either. Of is an adverb which modifies the verb Alberta. Well, what does Alberta mean as a verb? I mean, a verb is an action. So am I going to Alberta my supper later tonight, or Alberta my truck at the car wash? Like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's fiction, you see. And everybody's got to be able to grasp this, that, you see, this is where I had the same problem. They took my children and I went fighting them, looking for solutions. And it took me a while to figure out, like, for example, people will say to you, well, I live in Alberta, or I live in Canada. And I say, and they look at me like I'm crazy, like I got a screw loose. But you ask them the question, well, which Alberta is it that you're talking about? Are you talking about the legal fiction corporation, or are you talking about the Alberta territory? You see, which one? Alberta hyphen territory, to make that a compound fact. But so which one? Because nobody's in the fiction. Nobody can be in a fiction. That's not possible. I mean, you've got to be able to grasp that. If you can't grasp that, well, this is not for you. You got to better go back and put the yoke back on your neck and forget freedom. And the territory. Anybody that's in the territory is 6 feet below. They're not living. See, you got to be careful what you say, and again, that's not really true because the spoken word can't be qualified. It's like you can't hold a thought in your hand. Contracts must be in writing so that they can be qualified, and they've got to be written in the correct syntax so that so your facts are conveyed as facts.
Okay,
Okay.
so because, okay, let's just go back a little. Like, you use the word verb for Alberta. So most of us know Alberta as a noun. That's how we learned it in school. Noun, prepositional phrases, all that kind of stuff. We learned. So a place would be a noun, where you're saying it's a verb in this context, in this fact.
In that syntax, you're correct in that it should be a noun, sorry, a known, a fact, but
Right.
it's not conveyed that way by the order of the operation.
It's
See, there's
conveyed as
order
a
of
verb.
operation.
Right.
Yeah. See, like if you were to ask someone what's 4 plus 4 times 4, if they don't understand the order of the operation, they're going to get the wrong answer, and the wrong answer is not only wrong, it's a lie. Okay, because you multiply first. Order of operation requires that you multiply first. So the correct answer is 20, not 32. And everybody gets 32 and comes up right away with 32. Well, this
Okay.
is what they're throwing at you with the province of Alberta. Adverb, verb, adverb, verb. What does that mean?
Right.
Correct would be for the province of the Alberta. Position, loadial, fact, phrase, or what in the public, what you were taught in school, preposition, article, noun. We don't use
Okay.
the word
And so,
preposition because PRE means is void of now time authority.
okay. And so that's recognized in the courts. That syntax grammar in proper syntax grammar form is recognized in the courts. If
Oh, no.
no, sorry, I'm what I'm saying is they don't use that in the courts. But if you, as a postmaster general, were to take that document written in syntax grammar into the courtroom, then that is facts in the courtroom.
Yeah, but the courts, first of all, I'm not a postmaster hyphen general. I'm a federal postmaster, a
Sorry,
federal
I didn't
hyphen
mean to say
postmaster.
general. That's right.
Russell's the postmaster
Correct.
general, and he's the sole postmaster hyphen general. There's nobody else as a
And that's
postmaster general.
Russell J. Gould that you're
Yeah,
referring to.
full colon Russell hyphen J full colon Gould. That is the man. He's got all that stuff captured. He is the titles that he says he is. And anybody that doesn't believe that, they're welcome to test that at their own convenience
Right,
because they'll lose badly.
right,
But
right.
and recognize, you said use that word. Well, RE means no, and ED is in past time. So cognize, no cognize in the past. What does that mean? You
Mhm,
see, the other thing is that the courts right now, we've been in martial law since 2004, and the courts are closed.
mhm.
The bankruptcy is over. Canada came out of its third and final international bankruptcy on the 15th day of April in 2017 and ceased to exist. There's no more Canada. Ergo, the provinces are gone, and so are the laws, codes, rules, regulations, and licensing of the provinces are gone. They don't exist anymore.
Right.
United States came out of its third and final international bankruptcy on the second day of November in 1999. And I suggest for anyone who wants more closure on that to watch go onto YouTube and search the War Castles videos, and also to watch go to lastflagstanding.com and watch that video, Last Flag Standing, and watch the ones beneath that, the sedition and treason one, the one on the bounty seekers, because there's solutions. Everybody's feeling pretty miserable right now, but there is solutions. Russell has filed capture warrants, global capture warrants on Justin Trudeau, and also on full colon Teresa, full colon Tam. I call them Terrence, but
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
there's capture warrants for Biden. There's capture warrants for Clinton. There's capture warrants for all of them. They're all on there. If you watch the Bounty Seekers video, you'll see the capture warrant, and he's got it displayed there, and you'll see all their pictures. They're all in there. Gates, Fauci, they're all have warrants for them, and people are being court-martialed. So it is happening, though the media doesn't port any of that because they don't want us to know that stuff.
So they're being court-martialed. And again, this is with documents written in Parse syntax grammar when you say this, that they're being court-martialed.
Correct. Russell's the only one that can do that.
So
Like
that's why it's happening.
a lot of these people, you see, when Bill Clinton, when the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal was going on, Russell's former partner, full colon David -Wynn, full colon Miller, he was Clinton's counsel. Bill Clinton's legal counsel. That's why Clinton was talking about grammar. Depends upon what is, if you can remember him saying that.
Right.
And that's how he got off, and why that whole case just disappeared, because they can't talk about the grammar. They cannot talk about facts. And then coming back to what you said about the courts, cognized in the courts are nothing. There's nothing there. They're closed. The bankruptcy's over. And in martial law, all civil servants' jobs are suspended. So those people, there's nothing there.
So who's running
an
everything?
illusion.
What's going on here?
Well, a bunch of pirates and criminals, and the people who keep believing it. They keep believing in the spoken word and keep believing in the media. The media is nothing but lies, because the media can't do anything. But first of all, the spoken word can't be qualified. Does 2 + 2 = 4?
Yes.
No. Okay. So you're telling me that TU plus TOO equals FORE? Did you hear
No.
what I said? What I meant? What I said?
Right.
You can do that in different ways. Does 8 + 8 = 16? Does ATE plus ATE = 16? You don't know what anyone is saying. See, you cannot qualify the spoken word. You can't hold a thought in your hand. So contracts must be in writing so that they can be qualified. And everything that they write is all fiction grammar. It doesn't say anything. Like, as I said, what does Alberta mean as a verb?
Mm.
It's not a fraudulent conveyance of the language. It's not correct. And see, their whole world is fiction. They're all actors that work. They work for a legal fiction, and I would say a bankrupt legal fiction. But the bankruptcies are over. They don't even exist anymore. They have zero authority for their function in this now space. They have no authority to be here at all. But they're there anyways, and they're pulling this stuff, and the people are believing it, and the media is flapping their gums, blah 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 blah. And you talk to people, who've been vaccinated, and they, oh, you're crazy, you're crazy. Well, how is a fact conveyed? You ask them that question, and nobody can answer that, and people get angry. And I tell them, well, be honest with yourself. How is a fact conveyed? If you do not know the method for the conveyance of a fact, then you cannot claim that you know any facts. How could you? How would you even know what a fact is if you don't know how a fact is conveyed? And the first thing before we come to any, what you would call the word agreement, we don't use that word again because it's vowel and two consonants. Agree, ENT means contract, so no agreed contract. So we don't use that word. Concord or concurrence is what you would have to get to a contract. In order to do that, the first thing we have to have is communication. And for communication to happen, that means that your words and my words have to mean the same thing. So how do you qualify that? That's the question. How are you going to qualify that? And there's over 900 meanings for each word. So how do you qualify it? You've got to have written in correct syntax grammar, so that the facts are conveyed as facts. Each noun or known is conveyed as that known, and it cannot be misconstrued or misread. Oh, we think it means this. No, it means what it says, and it says what it means, front to back and back to front. A sentence written in correct syntax grammar can be converted to be read backwards and mean exactly the same thing. A sentence written in correct syntax grammar can be converted into any language on planet Earth without gaining a word, without losing a word, and without changing the meaning, because it's a mathematical syntax. It's perfect. There's no flaws there.
Very interesting. And so learning the Parse syntax grammar, each individual, whereby we are all equal on this planet, regardless of being tribal or whatever, title you want to say you have, or whatever.
Yeah, well, titles are all fiction.
We're all equal. We are all equal
We're
on
all
this
equal.
planet.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I think that's very fair to say. And I can't see why we wouldn't be otherwise.
Yeah, well, show me the contract.
Exactly. Well, there's that. Exactly.
People coming to me and say, well, I have to get vaccinated now. My employer said I have to get vaccinated. I said, how did they say? Well, they sent me an email. Dude, an email is not a contract. Print that off, take it to them, shove it in their face, say, here, sign that. Here's a blue pen, sign it in blue. Go ahead. Watch the fear in their eyes, because they won't sign anything, because they know that there's liability associated with that, especially when this technology is on board. Because you see, what we do, the first thing that we do in learning how to read and write correct is understanding syntax, comprehending syntax. And your correct syntax is your positional lodial fact phrases, okay, which is very simple, like for the cat, at the farm, you see, and you can hear the cadence to it. And after the second phrase is your verb is, and we only use two verbs, is for singular and are is for plural. And there's only one verb is allowed per sentence. So you have the first two phrases for the cat at the farm. Now you can have a verb. And if I said cats, I would use are, but since I said cat, I'm using is. And now before you can have another fact, you have to have another positional phrase. So for the cat at the farm is with the, and now catching of the mice with the skill by the cat's hyphen nature. Okay, you got to hyphenate that in order to make that a compound fact or compound word. And that sentence is perfect. There's nothing wrong with that sentence, and it conveys the facts as the facts, and they cannot be misconstrued. When they write things, they write them all in fiction syntax. And so what we do is we teach people how to identify what part of speech each word is in any given sentence. They write a sentence out, and then we can take and look at it. Like I have one right here, you know, declaring your status is a requirement of for an employee, for all employees. Okay, well, declaring, de means to separate from, detach, detox, so it's a negative. So it's no contract. You can't have a negative in a contract because you cannot qualify a negative. There's no way of proving a no. Declaring your status is so your, which is an adverb which modifies the pronoun declaring. Status is an adjective describing is as a pronoun. Well, what kind of is it? Well, it's a status is. Don't you know what a status is? Like, it's ridiculous. Is another adverb. Requirement is an adjective. And for, the word for is a pronoun. And then all is another adverb, making employees, period, a dangling participle verb. And employees, em means no. Requirement is re means no, so there's no requirement. So they're going no contract. Your status is a no contract for no contract, for all no contract. It's gibberish. Okay? And so once you prove that this is false and misleading statements, they can no longer hold this up and say, well, we have this, we sent you this. Oh yeah, you sent me a bunch of fraud. You're liable for perjury. Thank you for your signed confession to perjury. Thank you very much. I can't force you to stop and correct, but what I can do and what I will do is my duty to stop and correct. So I'm going to port your crimes to the authorities, and you go to prison. And I'll see to it that you do, because that's where you belong for your lies. To do this to somebody. These people they're doing this all over the world, but you see, they're just preying on people's ignorance. Nobody knows how to read and write correct. Nobody knows how to qualify that as the lie that it is. Well,
so they're doing this all over the world, and this is how the world is running, based on this fictitious syntax, fictitious syntax. So who is they? Who's doing this?
well, I'm not exactly certain. I don't know. I mean, the people, you have your local government people, which they've already found out in Australia and a few places that they're taking money from the pharmaceutical companies. So this is, in this case, you could say they is them, the pharmaceutical companies, but they're being controlled as well by people that are higher up. So, and to get into saying anything there, I would just be speculating. But if the point is, it doesn't matter what you perceive them as saying or what you perceive them as doing. The rule is govern yourself or be governed. Anything unsecured is up for grabs. So ask yourself, how is your body vessel? How is that secured? How did you ever claim it? You never claimed it. So it's a derelict. It's considered abandoned. And so they can just salvage a vessel. Just like if you're out on the water in your boat and you come across a wooden crate floating on the water, what can you do with that? Well, you can salvage it. You can pull it aboard, and if it's got an ounce of gold in it, well, guess what? Whose gold is it now? You see, if I take my 1 ounce gold coin out of my pocket and I take it and lay it out on the sidewalk in front of the house, okay, I'll go get that at the end of the day. No, you won't. You see, if I got to drill a hole through it and put a chain to it and put a chain to my to my big toe, now if someone grabs it, picks it up, it tugs on that chain. Well, see, I've secured it.
Right.
You see,
Right.
anything unsecured is up for grabs. So how's your body secured? See, and
Very
so the way you
interesting.
secure that is with a contract, and the contract has to be in correct syntax grammar, so it says something, so it states a fact, it makes a claim. And see that the problem is, again, like it's not what they're doing or what they're saying, it's what the people have failed to do. The people have failed to govern themselves. And Russell wants people to familiarize yourself with the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 12, 1 through 7.
Mhm.
And 12b6 in their fiction grammar says failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Well, that just makes so much sense. I mean, how is it that you people out there in the world think that you should get a remedy or a solution or a performance out of somebody or somehow if you've never even stated a claim?
Mhm.
And how can you do that if you don't even know how to read and write correct?
So
How
to
can you
state a
qualify your
claim,
grammar?
what's the first step people can do to state a claim?
Well, the first thing that we do in Russell's system is to get on board Russell's shipping lane is to get what's called a claim of the live life. So
Mhm.
you claim your body vessel, you claim that, and it has DNA on it, has your fingerprints on it, has witness on it, witness fingerprints. It is actual or factual credentials that you can use out there in the world as to claim that shows that you are a federal postmaster,
Mhm.
and you're the postmaster by autographing through the stamp, and it's federal because the stamp is federal.
Mhm.
And so you're the postmaster not as a position out there in the public. You're not going to go open up a storefront and put a sign up, federal postmaster, come on in, I'll take your business. It's not that. You're the federal postmaster on that document and on that vessel's cargo, i.e. your body vessel. And if you have contracts, like we have contracts in place for all kinds of things, that we get control of our driver's license and get control of our passports and things like these. So you're not in usury, or you're still in usury, but you're control as a postmaster, because
Hmm.
you see that if you can find the 1825 U.S. Charter, it's easy to find. And it says, again, fiction grammar, but it says, let there be established a general post as the seat of the government of the United States under the control of a postmaster general. Well, that's all fiction grammar. I can syntax that and vacate that for fraud in an instant. But the point is, they're telling you, they're being honest with you there. A general post is the seat of every government on planet Earth, because everything is about shipping. It's all about bills of the lading.
Mhm.
Okay. Your
Right.
driver's license is a bill of lading. Your birth certificate is a bill of lading. A $1 stamp is a bill of lading. They're all bills of lading, but all of their stuff is fraudulently conveyed. But you see, it stands in the absence of a fact claim.
Right.
So it comes back to 12b6, failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. If you haven't stated a claim, then the only claims out there that are out there that concern your vessel are all fraudulent and don't say anything. They can
So,
construe it to mean whatever they want.
right. Now they would start out with registering mail, right?
Correct.
And
You
that
send,
would be, so I would register this piece of mail to myself and I would receive
yeah.
this receipt and I would get a number that's on the bottom of the receipt. And that number is what I use
Yeah.
in my documents.
Like
That
when
is how I
yeah,
mail.
you start out by sending a registered letter to yourself.
Right.
Okay. And nothing fancy for that. There's people out there going misinformation on that. Oh, you have to put a $1 stamp on, you have to do
Not to
this, you have to do that.
yourself. Right.
No, to yourself. You're just sending a registered letter to yourself, and you can put a blank piece of paper in it. It doesn't matter. You're never going to open it anyways.
Right.
What you're doing is you're sending that through the foreign federal postal system, and you're, by that number going through their system, you're establishing or creating a shipping lane or a ship's channel, and that number is going to be your contract number. And now when you have that ship's channel recreated, you can dock other vessels to it. And your claim of the life is your foundational claim. In other words, when you make any other claims, who's making the claim? You
Mhm.
see, the name on the birth certificate with that's all capital letters, last name first, comma, first name, middle name. That's called a nom de guerre, or which means name of war.
Mhm.
They're telling you right up front we're at war against you. You see, and that's a fiction. It can't state a claim about on anything. It can't do it. It's how could it? Mickey Mouse can't make a claim. So how
Mhm.
could that fiction make a claim?
Right.
See? So it's the same thing. So you do that life claim, you create that, and now you got to run your timelines, of course, because every contract, it's all trust timelines. It's 45-day trust law moratorium on timelines, plus 3 days rescission. There's the Lemon law is on everything, 3 days. So that makes 48 days, and you can't count day of service. So it's 49 days. On the
Mhm.
49th day, now your contract is in place, and that's law.
Mhm.
Okay, but you got to start with something, and you got to start there. So the first thing you'd have to do is claim yourself. You can't.
So that number that we're getting from the registered mail, that's the number that you always use. That's the one, like, you don't have to
Correct.
do another registered mail to yourself. That would be just the one.
Well, no, you would in for other contracts.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
if you're going to do a grammar complaint or a co-parental complaint or any one of these complaints, or a child caretaker guardianship claim or something like that, you would have to do a self-mailing first of all in order to give that a contract number. So that has its own contract number as well.
Okay. All right. So it is a separate registered mailing to the self for each
Correct.
contract that you are
Correct. Yeah.
wanting to
But
pursue.
we're not doing much of that anymore because the courts are closed.
Yes.
We don't go into their courts anymore. We don't deal with them anymore. And as far as just to touch again on that you had mentioned there before, it's cognized by the court. Well, no, they can't see a fact.
Right.
They're actors, you see, and they actually swear an oath that says no fact or law shall be tried in court. Again, which is nonsense. There's no such thing as a no.
Right.
No fact, that's adverb verb. Or, and there's a conjunction. So they got to add, they start off with a verb fact, whatever that means.
No.
Or
Right,
law.
no law, and then or the conjunction.
And
Or
then
fact.
or shall be or fact. Okay, so fact would be a pronoun modified by the adverb shall in future time. Shall in future time.
Which makes the whole thing no contract.
Yeah, it's all nonsense.
Void,
It's all just gibberish. It's like it
So-
makes much sense as off with their head. That made no sense.
With that, okay, having said that, with all the acts in place for COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-9 and SARS-CoV-2, I should say, and any of these acts that they're putting out there for the vaccines and so on, they are written not in fact. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're all written in fiction syntax grammar. None
Right.
of them say a thing. There's not one word, and they have zero authority to make them because the elections, Russell vacated elections worldwide for fraud in 1998. Trudeau wasn't elected. Biden wasn't elected. Trump wasn't elected. Bush wasn't elected. There's been no elections. None
But
of these
then
premiers
it's
are
to
elected.
enforce that. There's not enough people to enforce this.
Well, we have a fact constitution for Canada here now, but again, people got to join it. It's a contract. If you want the benefits of the contract, you have to be a party to the contract. And see that's what we're doing right now is we're getting all the Canada Life claimants to join the constitution. So Russell has the numbers there, and right now we're working with Russell to help educate the military because they don't know, they don't understand. When Russell went down there, was working with the to stop the vaccinations of the U.S. Military personnel. He said he went from department to department, and these generals were screaming at him, "Where is your chain of command?" And he said, "I am the chain of command."
Mhm.
And they were shocked, he told me, that to find out that the United States didn't exist anymore and that he was the commander in chief and that their superiors had lied to them and misled them and not told them this. But the last thing he said, what they're learning, he said, because they're watching, the generals are learning because they're watching the court-martial trials. So he is court-martialing people and they're watching them. And I know that these people, because as I said, Clinton was, Dave was his legal counsel. So Russell has told us that Hillary knows how to syntax better than most of the people out here. And so they know this technology, and there's actually people that were arrested and taken to Gitmo, and they were using this technology to vacate the court's jurisdiction, to vacate the court's documents for fraud so that they couldn't gain the jurisdiction over them, and or venue-authority is correct. But the military actually came to Russell and told him what was going on, and Russell said, well, they need to be prosecuted on their volition, and I'm the only one that can do that. So, and that's what he does. He prosecutes them on their volition, and they have no way out. They think they're smart and they got a way out, but they have zero way out. They're going down.
Well, that's good to hear. And we really need to hear that. But going back to Hillary and Clinton, there's going to be a lot of people saying, wait a second, these dudes are bad. So why is David Miller helping them? Well, he counsels anyone who needs syntax grammar. He doesn't judge whether what politician you are.
Well, Dave's dead. So
yeah. Well, that's true.
He's not around anymore to do that. Russell doesn't do that.
No.
but
Okay.
Dave did it. And Dave, like
Well, he was
Russell.
compromised perhaps too, right?
Oh yeah, he was a shyster. He put a fellow by the name of Leighton colon Ward, put him in prison for 23 years. Set him up to go to prison, and Dave thought that was funny. He laughed about it, and he tried to set me up for the same thing. And so I have zero respect for Dave. I mean, he broke the code on the grabber. Yes, true enough, he did that. But then he wouldn't teach us anything about anything else as far as being paid stuff. He worked against us to do that. He did the constitutions he did for Ireland, the United Nations Constitution he did, are full of flaws so that the people cannot be paid. And Russell and I confronted him on a Skype call one night, and he actually said to us, "You cannot put the wealth in the hands of the people." I wanted to reach through the phone and choke him. I was like, the people are the wealth. What are you
Mhm.
talking about?
Yeah.
You know,
Interesting.
that's what it is.
So to empower people, like the meek shall rise. The meek means power. You're using your factual true power. So that is what meek actually means. So people who rise are the meek. People are going to rise who use this true power.
Well,
So
meek, I've heard is teachable, but
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm just repeating what some things that I've learned. So what are the facts I'm learning?
no.
But I do feel people have to rise up. People do have to rise up to the fiction, to the illusion, to what we keep just complying to, whatever it is,
Well, they've
whether
slapped they've slapped us in the face with the solution, but people don't get it. In Alice in Wonderland, Alice did not get her solution in the Queen of Hearts fiction court. In
Mhm.
order for her solution to get her solution, she woke up in the fact venue, the
Right.
fact world, okay,
That's
in the
right.
garden. Now where's the Queen of Hearts playing card soldiers? They can't follow her into the garden because they're a dream.
Right.
Okay, the same with the Matrix. Neo had to see through the illusion before he got his power. As
Right.
long as he was trapped by the illusion and not seeing through the illusion, still thinking that the media is saying something and still thinking that Biden is saying something, still buying that lie, then you're forever going to be a slave. You'll
That's
never
right.
get free. And the beauty of this technology is when you learn to syntax, when you can take one of their writings, one of their COVID orders, and you can mark down with the number code. We have one, the zero is a conjunction, one is an adverb, two is a verb, three is an adjective, and four is a pronoun, which all you'll ever find in their stuff. And so when you start going through that stuff and marking those words for that, that becomes the evidence. You're marking that as evidence. You're creating the evidence, the state's evidence, and you are the state's witness. You're turning state's evidence and you're bringing that forward, then their paperwork, their writing that they put out against you becomes your evidence against them for their mail fraud, for their crime. And it's mail fraud because they're all postal employees. See, everything's under the post. Everything's under the post. Every stamp, seal, label, refused, paid, receipt, that's all postal.
So once upon a time, the general postmaster was Lincoln, correct? President Lincoln.
I don't know if Lincoln was. They were all postmasters back there. If you watch that movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis, you'll see that they were all postmasters.
Right.
They all called themselves postmasters. Benjamin
Now,
Franklin was a postmaster in
right.
both venues in Canada and the United States.
And how, okay, so they're all postmasters. Now, how does admiral law fit into this?
Well, like I said, I asked Russell when I first got involved with this. I said, "So this is all about admiralty law?" And he said, "No, it's about shipping." That's as simple as I can make it.
Right.
It's all about bills of the lading. See, when
Interesting.
Russell goes to court, he doesn't just walk into the court. He mails himself into the
Into the
court. He
court.
ships himself in there as
And
the
that changes
postmaster.
everything about how you use your power at that point.
Oh, golly, that just
Yeah.
absolutely changes everything because the postmaster has the authority of the freight forwarder.
Which
Okay.
is now in that courtroom. You now have that authority.
Well, if you have the paperwork, the authority to be there.
Right.
Otherwise, like Dave used to say all the time, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 44.1, all judges are actors on a foreign vessel in dry dock. Well, if you go to 44.1, you don't see those words there, but it is a foreign venue. So that's what he's talking about. It is a foreign place you're going into. And when you go into their fiction courts, you walk through the bar, you're trespassing. You have zero authorization to be there, and you're proving that you're incompetent because the paperwork in your hands doesn't say anything. You don't know how to read and write, so you perceive that it says something. It's covered with boxes. There's over 400 mistakes on a ticket. Okay, but then you walk onto their foreign vessel in dry dock and you walk through their bar, you're trespassing. The same as if you went out to the coast and climbed up the anchor chain on a Chinese freighter, started walking around the deck. You've left Canada behind, or the United States, wherever you happen to be, and now you're on a foreign vessel and you're trespassing, and they will throw you into brig. And as Russell has said, they will transport you all the way back to China and prosecute you in a Chinese court for trespassing and cast you into Chinese prison
Mhm.
because you left Canada or wherever, whatever venue you're in when you climbed up that anchor chain, you left that venue behind. So it's the
Okay.
same difference when you walk onto their court.
So
Same
that's what
thing.
gives the judge the power to sentence you, is when you walk in their courtroom without mailing yourself in, and you're then trespassing. So then the judge is able to say whatever the judge wishes to say to you, or
Yeah,
send.
well, they're dealing with an abandoned vessel. So they're salvaging that vessel, and everybody that's in jail, everybody that's in court being fined for something is being jailed and fined for trespassing.
Right.
They're not going to tell you that because they give away the game. They never tell
That's
you that.
actually what they're being sentenced for. Wow.
Yeah, it's for trespassing.
Unbelievable. Okay.
So you walk on there, just like when you go get a mortgage. You go get a mortgage, you want to go borrow credit. Well, show me some credit. There is no such thing as credit. It's fiction.
No, that
So
I know.
you
Yeah.
prove that you're incompetent when you walked into the bank to borrow fiction. And I get it that you're looking to buy a house, you need a house or a car, and you got to go do it. I get
Sure.
that, but it
Sure.
doesn't take away from the fact that when you get there, they've got this contract all written up already. That's all written in fiction, syntax, grammar, and they slide that over to you, and they want you to sign it. And the signature is the mark of a slave because it cannot be qualified as anything more than curvy lines. You'd be better off using an X. At least you can qualify an X as an X.
Okay, that's why we sign our names as semicolon space,
Full
uh,
colon.
sorry, full colon space Amina, full colon space Motala, period.
Correct. Because
And
that's
it's all in
your
capital letters.
no, that's only the vessel names in capital letters. The volition name is in upper lowercase.
Okay.
And that's why when we write to them, we can only write to them in capital letters because we can only talk to the vessel. The only ones that can have a upper lowercase name, punctuated upper lowercase name, is a live life claimant.
Right. Okay.
If you don't
Very
have that, then
interesting.
we can't see you as a fact. All we can see is the vessel. And so that's all we can see of them as the vessel. But anyways, yeah, so
Hmm.
you syntax their stuff, turn that into your evidence, and then you make your grammar complaint. And Russell has those on his website on Last Flag Standing, or I don't know, it might be on claimthelivelife.com, but you can go there and you can find a document there called amicus curiae, which means friend of the court.
Mhm.
Now, so he's got that made up, and there's 4 paragraphs on there. They're all talking about the duty of the stopping and correcting, Title 42, 1986.
Mhm.
And when I say that, people want to know, well, what is that? Is that United States Code? Well, Russell talks about Title 18, 1001, 1002, Title 18, 1341, 1342, 1343, which is all mail fraud and wire fraud. And but what people don't understand is, I had one fellow that got very angry and he said, well, you're using their stuff and their stuff's all fiction. Well, we're saying it sounds like their stuff, but it isn't their stuff. All of those codes, if you look at any of Russell's documents, it says Title 18, and then it says document contract claim section 1001. Well, document contract claim section, what that means is that Russell has corrected that. It's all in correct syntax grammar. So the law is factually written in correct grammar. We don't
Okay.
stand on fiction. You can't build a house on quicksand. You can't stand on a fiction. You got to be a fact. So that's all corrected. But that's Title 42, 1986 is everybody has that same duty to stop and correct. See,
Hmm.
like a police officer, when he puts his costume on, he doesn't get authority, he gets duty. See, and his duty is to stop and correct, which is the same duty that we all have. That's how we get them, because you see, when the police officer writes that ticket, he has a duty to stop and correct. And that starts with the grammar,
Mhm.
because contracts control everything and grammar controls contracts. So if the grammar's not correct, nothing from there can be correct. It's all a lie. Then
Mhm.
he hands it off to the clerk of the court. She doesn't stop and correct. She hands it off to the judge and the prosecutor. They don't stop and correct. Now they're conspiring, one with the other and others unknown, to fraud you with a lie. And it's just a lie. And they're just preying on your ignorance. Because if you just knew how to read and write correct, you could vacate in an instant. And they can't talk about facts in there. I've talked, like the judge said to me one time, he says, do you understand the Crown is seeking an adjournment? And I said, wow, what are you babbling about? Do you understand would be a pronoun adverb verb. The Crown, adverb verb, is seeking adverb verb, and adjournment, adverb verb. What on God's green earth does adjournment mean as a verb? And the judge just calmly turned from me to the prosecutor, started talking to the prosecutor about something totally different, changed the subject, because they cannot talk about grammar there. They cannot talk about facts.
Interesting. Wow.
They can't do it. It's a show. You're
An
you
illusion,
know
the whole thing. Hmm.
yeah, you've been sucked into an illusion. And all these liars standing there lying because they're babbling the spoken word, and none of their papers say anything, and you're believing in this lie. So you're a victim of your own, of your own mind, a prisoner of your own mind.
Yeah. No, really. And
But
it has felt this way for a very long time for, those of us who are who are waking up and starting to realize on some level without even knowing the grammar, but we know something is not right and
yeah,
it doesn't look right. And it's a lot of that's happening. So, okay. I mean, we've said a lot. It's a lot of stuff to learn. I'm sure there's people confused a little bit too with some of this stuff. It takes time. It's taken me a few times to go over some of this stuff, but it's really coming around now better for me. And it's just like anything when you're learning,
yeah, it's just something new. It's not that it's
sitting in
complicated.
English class and learning grammar, like you're just relearning something, and it's fine. It's not a difficult thing. Um, so first things first is you need to claim your life, have a
Correct.
life claim, and then you can get started with using your power. But, of course, with all of this, we do have laws of the land. We do have to stay in a moral, uh,
No, well, morally, yes, we have to be correct.
moral,
Correct is
sorry, that's what
correct.
I meant to say,
But
moral. We have
yeah,
to, we don't kill, we don't steal, all these things
yeah,
imply when we say all this, of
yeah.
course, we
And
have to live in a good, a life that what we all want and strive for as human beings. So
right.
having said all that, of course, we're all on common ground in that respect. We hope to be anyway.
Well, we all
So
want the same thing, I think. Everybody wants peace and
sure,
harmony, and they want prosperity, and
exactly,
they want to be safe and secure, and they want to be prosperous. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
exactly.
That's all well and good, but how do you get that?
How
Well,
do we do
you
it
have to
together?
start with a fact
Yeah,
foundation. You see, if
yeah.
you have an employer that's giving you a hard time, if you have an employment contract, you need to syntax that because you prove that that's fraudulent, and you need to state your own claim. You see, you vacate their stuff, and then you come forward with a claim of your own that is a fact claim. You see, and once you do that, now they've lost their power and authority. And if they were to fire you, oh, what if they fire me? Well, you have well, bad word, recourse. You have solution. Is it
Well, they're
correct?
illegally doing it right now. All these emails they're sending to their employers and
Correct.
whatnot. It's all illegally written too. It's not even fact. It's not factually written.
But
So yeah.
people without life claims have no standing. They're just a derelict vessels. They're considered abandoned. So they can do what they want with those
Mhm.
people. You see,
Seems
if
like
you
it was all by design. Like this has all been
oh, correct.
for
Well,
this
you look
moment
back at
in
the
life.
Second World War at places like Dresden and
Yeah.
Hamburg, they leveled those places. They just leveled them. You look at the pictures and you just, how could anyone survive there?
Hmm.
Well, a lot of people didn't. But the thing is, if there was no people,
Hmm.
you see, it's just a bunch of derelict vessels, which they took after the fact, and they collected all the death certificates, and they made millions on all those people they killed.
Wow, it's so evil. Oh, but I want to stay positive. So things that we can do, power we do have, and
Stop and
knowledge we
correct.
need to take back and learn
Stop and
again.
correct. Yeah. Stop
So
and correct.
this is what we have to do because there are ways, and together as people we can rise up to this and learn and empower ourselves. So take the initiative to learn this, take the initiative to question and to research. It's really important, as I do, and then I come across something like this and it's like, wow, whoever knew this was here, and I'm very happy to learn this. I want to learn more. I want to continue, digging into it. So this is a lot for today for this video. I think you've said a lot of very, very good information here. And I suggest people, go back, repeat it, listen to it again, take it in sections and hear what's being said. It's not that difficult. It's a lot at first when it's a new wheel. So
Correct.
do that and give yourself that chance. This is all very comprehensible things that you have
Study.
said, you
Got to
know,
study. study,
Yeah.
watch the videos, watch Last Flag Standing, seek out Russell's videos online, or the videos by David-Win Miller on the grammar, where he's talking about the courtrooms and how the courtrooms are set up, and he explains a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Russell explains a lot of this stuff in the Director Party seminar. The Reno seminar is a very good one to watch. Because Russell does explain this stuff. Study, learn, study, learn. You got to gain the knowledge. Knowledge is power. And
Yep.
since I've gotten involved in this, I had all kinds of things that went wrong with my life. They took my children is what got me participating in this and gaining this knowledge. And I had hoped to share it with my children, but they all hate me now because they think I'm crazy. But my family thinks I'm crazy. But it's what do they call that? The cognitive dissonance, where the people want to hang on to their belief system. They don't want to. As I see people I talk to, they get scared right away. You can see the fear in their eyes. You're destroying my belief system, and don't take that away from me because it's all that I have.
And that's key when you say belief system. It's not a factual system. It's a belief system that they have. And I'm very, compelled. Your story is very compelling about your children, and the silver lining in it is that it got you to learn this and share this knowledge with others who could be in that situation right now with their children, and need.
I just pray that mine wake up one day and that I can share the knowledge with them and teach them how that I can create a legacy for my family, that they can become free. Because he who controls grammar controls contracts. And if you control contracts, you control your world. And
Well
I've done
said.
that. I've done that in my life, and I control my bank accounts. They can't garnish my bank accounts. They can't mess with my bank accounts. They don't mess with my bank accounts. Okay, I control my driver's license. I control my passport. I control these contracts. I'm not in usury. I'm the postmaster on all of these things. So I have the authority of the freight forwarder. I say where things go and how things go, not them.
Very interesting. So you have control of your bank accounts. That's a whole other.
Yeah, I won't go into that now. I can't explain that now.
No, but we'll get into that another time, hopefully, because the financial world is something that I work in this new digital world that we're going into, and it's a very interesting transition. Always good guys and bad guys behind it all, but
all wire fraud.
Understood, but I'd like to hear more about the language behind that. So that very interesting. We will talk some more.
Bank fraud and wire fraud. But Russell has a gold-backed crypto. He has gold-backed cryptocurrency, and the quantum bank is coming, but we need everybody to get on board and to bring Russell forward. If we had just even 100,000 people across this land were into this system with light claims and pushing these fiction actors out of the way and to bring Russell forward. I mean, if you think about it, Russell comes forward. He's already said this in his videos. You watch his videos. Your mortgages are done. They're forgiven. Your car loans are done. They're forgiven. No more taxes. That's gone and forgiven. The monetary system is a fact monetary system, a gold-backed system where there is no taxes, okay? Because your taxes are rent. That's what they are. You're paying rent on using something that belongs to somebody else, you see? So all that stuff goes away. All the victimless crimes fall off the book. All this corruption and stuff goes away, because if we go to correct syntax grammar, they can't do it. They can't do it in correct syntax grammar, you see? It stops them dead. So all that stuff just falls off the book. So if the people would just wake up and come forward and push at this, we could have paradise here. Absolute paradise.
Joy. Life is about joy. I always say that. It should be. So, okay. All right. So it's a lot of very, very interesting information. And of course, we need to learn more about this when it's the first time hearing all of this. So where can they go to either learn more about claiming their life or just doing some more research? Let's give some websites that they can go to again.
Well, one is fortheomstead.com, which is one word, for the AUMSTEAD, fortheomstead.com. Another one is lastflagstanding.com. You can go there and you can learn lots of stuff there. Watch the videos. Russell's The Last Flag Standing video. I suggest that people watch that. It's a little deep. It's over a lot of people's heads, but you just got to keep going at it. You got to watch it again and again and again until you start internalizing this data and getting what Russell is saying, because he's telling you the truth. He's telling you what's going on. But people are so, like, we're in this world nowadays where truth seems stranger than fiction.
We doubt the new perceptions, for sure.
and everybody doubts it right away. But
Okay. And so for the lastflagstanding.com, and then the other, was there another one?
For the Olmsted.com, and then well, I don't know if there's any others right now off the top of my head. There is claimofthelife.com, where you can get claims of life. I was doing claims of life, but Russell has me on a bit of a stand down on that because I said something I shouldn't have said. I got well upset with Trudeau, and I said something about shooting him. So we can't do that, and Russell can't be associated with that. I mean, he said we don't shoot them, we capture them, we take them to trial.
Right. And, yeah, that's fair.
And that's correct. I mean, it was just a flash moment of anger.
You're being
when I said that. I meant capture, but I typed shoot.
I think a lot of Canadians have said shoot him, but I think
but we don't have. You see, but if no, we know equal.
We know what you're saying. We
we're all equal. So we don't have the authority to do that.
That's right. We are all equal, but we can take them to trial, and we can try him for treason and for crimes against humanity.
Hand him over to Russell, and Russell will try him, and then he can spend his time at Gitmo.
Right.
And he can tell all the other inmates what an important person he is and how smart he is.
Right.
That's be a good
right. Tell the other inmate, sure. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's fantastic. I'd like to keep this within the half hour because it's a lot of info.
Okay. Yeah.
It's good for them. Let's keep it here. And that was
thank you.
You're welcome. I will have the websites as well posted so they can reach. And then they can also reach out to you. And the other gentleman is John. Is it?
Well, if they go to fortheolmsted.com, there's a list there of tutors.
Yes.
And there's a list of tutors on Last Flag Standing as well. And I suggest that you get yourself a tutor and start learning how to syntax, so that you can tell the difference between correct syntax grammar and fraudulent syntax grammar. And once you can do that, that opens up a whole new world for you.
Right. And then they can go, and it's not representing yourself, because represent is a void.
That's what a prosecutor said that to me one time. He said, Mr. Schiller is representing himself. I said, what? RE means no. And PRE means no, because it's void of now time authority, and ENT means contract. So represent means no contract. So let me get this straight. You're saying that I'm participating in a non-performance where no performance can be performed. Are you out of your mind? And they're out of their mind.
Right. So what do you say then? What do you say in instead of saying represent?
I don't answer them.
You don't have to say that.
Yeah. I don't. That was back in the old day when I would speak to them. See, the whole thing now, like, first of all, like I said, the courts are closed. Russell said, stay out of their courts unless you absolutely have to. The courts are closed, and if you go there, you will get harvested. Right. And so to go there to their courts, even nowadays, if you have to go, you have to know how to navigate yourself and comprehend that it's about shipping, and that you have to navigate your vessel on and off that foreign vessel in dry dock.
And your vessel is your body. This is your vessel.
Is your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your thinking, your volition as well is see, that's claimed as well with the correct syntax grammar. But when you go in there to their courts, the thing is not about, I was doing 70, not 80. It's got nothing to do with anything that's going on there. The first thing that's got anything to do with is, where is your authority? And this is the question Russell told me to ask, because you see, with the bankruptcy, United States bankruptcy over, Australia bankruptcy is over, Canada bankruptcy is over, all these bankruptcies are done. So they have zero authorization unless they have an authorization, written authorization by Russell. So what he's told me to ask them is, where is your authorization for your function in this now space by the Russell-J. Gould and Gould? Because Russell has claimed the now space, and we're always in the now space. This is the now space. See, all their stuff is should, could, shall, would, may. That's all past tense, future tense. None of it's in the now time, in the now space. And time is an illusion, so it's, Russell called it now space.
Okay. And if somebody gives you a ticket for any of this vaccine stuff or COVID stuff, that ticket is also a no contract, right?
Correct. Whether that's, you take that ticket and turn that into your evidence. You mark it full colon vidence, because EV means no. Any word that starts with a vowel and two consonants means no.
Okay.
They want you to social distance. Well, the lady told me to do that. You have to stand back there. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I don't know what no-tancing means. notancing. I said, well, are you telling me that disability means ability? What are you saying? I don't know what notancing means. You see?
Okay.
And so
Right.
this is what they're doing. They're spewing all this stuff up there in the court. So, well, I was standing there one time asking the prosecutor for closure, and she's claiming she didn't know what I meant. And I said, you know what I mean. I want your paperwork with your signatures on it so I can syntax it and put you all in prison for fraud and perjury where you belong. And then she said, well, I think he means disclosure, my lord. Oh, so you're telling me and all these numerous witnesses that discontent means content and discontinue means continue. Why would I want no closure? Oh, because you're a liar and all you have is false, misleading statements by your fraudulent syntax grammar. Liar. Where's your correct syntax grammar? And the police
That's
have said to me,
hilarious.
oh,
It's
we don't
like
have any correct syntax grammar. Oh, thank you for your confession. You have nothing correct. And they
a
don't.
war with words. I love it. So, okay. And so that ticket that they write out to you, then you are clearly it's not a contract. It's
Well, you would
void.
take that ticket and you would syntax it, mark it as evidence,
Yeah.
put your key code on it, say what your numbers mean. And I have the key code. I can give it to anyone who wants it. And or the key code is on the number codes term page or on the sentence structure terms page. As I've said, 0 is a conjunction, 1 is an adverb, 2 is a verb, 3 is an adjective, 4 is a pronoun. And then 8 is past time and 9 is future time. Shall is be a 1.9 as an adverb in future tense.
You key code the whole ticket.
You key code the whole ticket. You mark every word, or you identify what part of
With
speech
what number
each word is.
each
Right.
word is.
And by doing that, you prove that there is no facts. And or you're proving that there's no nouns, which proves that there's no facts, which proves that it's false and misleading statements. So it's fraud. And now you get Russell's amicus curiae off his website, and you put that guy's name on that amicus. You put his name there in capital letters because he's just a vessel. The form on the site is wrong. The name isn't in italics. It's in italics on there. It says Mark Zuckerberg in italics, but it's not supposed to be in italics. You don't put their name in italics, but then you do that, and then you serve them with that by registered mail. You see, because what they're doing is they're holding their hands over their eyes and saying, we don't see anything fraud. We don't see any fraud. We don't see any fraudulent syntax grammar. So by serving them with this, you're taking their blinders off. Now they have knowledge. And when they have knowledge, they have duty. You see, they have the duty to stop and correct. And so that they've got the knowledge, you didn't stop and correct. So now we're going to sue you if you caused me a damage. Your volition was to lie to me. You didn't stop and correct. And so that's why we have to serve them with that. And that brings them, once you have that, and you have the proof of service on that, you have the evidence you put together. Now you can, what we're doing with some of them here, we're forwarding them to the military. And Russell has us doing some things with the military here right now as well to bring the military on board and educate the military. But when you do that, you got evidence. They can't come back after you no more. They're the criminal. You see, you're the state's witness and bringing the state's evidence. And if they're trying to block you in any way, that's obstruction of justice. They can't do that.
Wow, it's fascinating.
But they do it all the time.
Yeah, no, I've read a lot. I've done a lot of research and seen that it's been done quite a bit. So yeah, no, very, very fascinating. I thank you so much for your time today. We'll have to have you back on the show because there's a lot here that can be said. So
it's a lot,
but we want to get the word out. We want to hear other people, do the research and come back and let's all think together, like what's going on here, right?
Well, and there's a lot of out there, you'll read the people say that people have failed with this. They go into court and they fail with it. Well, if they failed with it, they don't know what they're doing with it. It works perfectly every single time.
Sure.
Every single time.
Yeah. Just like they have their law and their grammar, how they write it. When a lawyer goes in, they have certain ways to do it. There's a structure.
Yeah, they can't trump correct.
Right.
They can say that they did, but that doesn't mean anything. Spoken word can't be qualified.
And we know there's so much corruption, like people. There's anyone who wants to believe the government's great and everything's great. And you just have to, go along with it. There's a ton of corruption. Nobody can argue that. There is so much. Why? Why and where? And let's, dig in and ask for those of you who are a little confused or on the fence. Come on.
People say there's a pandemic, and I say, prove it.
Yeah, prove it.
Give me something to correct syntax grammar. Give me one single diagnosis. Well, my friend died of COVID. No, that's what they told you your friend died of.
Yeah.
Bring me that diagnosis, and I can prove that diagnosis is fraudulent in about 2 seconds.
Yeah. I know. I've seen a lot. I know. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Gordon.
Okay,
Michael
sorry to keep
Schiller.
rambling on.
Yeah.
full colon,
Gordon.
Gordon. I am a fact, and my name is conveyed as a fact. I'm not,
That's
I'm
right.
not their fiction whipping boy anymore.
I love it. It's awesome. Well, thank you again, and I'll have all those links there, and they can reach out to Gordon, and there are other tutors as well if anyone's interested in learning more about syntax, grammar, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.